Hey, good morning. This is Father George Corrigan with a few Sunday thoughts on the Gospel for the second Sunday of Easter. I think we are at our best as a Christian people when we're storytellers. So I thought I'd tell you maybe three stories this morning in short. One is perhaps a well-known or maybe not well-known story of King Lear. King Lear, the Shakespearean figure, is the great king of England, one presumes, and he's thinking about retirement. He's got three daughters, and he figured, you know what, I'll divvy up my inheritance, kind of like my 401k retirement plan, and I'll divvy up it according to, the sense of how much they adore, love, and fawn all over me. And so he's got two daughters, a little bit conniving, but they know how to play the game, and they just fawn all over him. But Cordelia, the good one, Cordelia, simply says, I love you, and has led an active life that all supports that simple statement. But it's not what Lear wants to hear. Disinherits Cordelia, divvies up the rest of his kingdom, his riches among the two daughters, who I guess he forgot the conniving part, and pretty soon they reduce him to a poor, mad, mumbling man stumbling around the bogs of England, kind of lost in an increasing madness. His world has just completely shrunk. He thinks of nothing but himself and his horrible daughters and all the rest of the stuff. Of course, he runs into Cordelia. And Cordelia he sees and he goes, well, here it comes. She is going to just be all over me. And yet, she just simply offers up, I forgive you. It opens a portal for him to a new world of grace, of mercy, and forgiveness. It is the story of Easter, the same portal that Christ opens up for us, that portal to not that small world we live in, but this wide world that includes redemption and salvation. Not Lear. He takes a pass, and he will just kind of stumble his way through the Shakespearean tragedy of his life. Second story is the story of Thomas. We tag the poor guy doubting Thomas, but you got to remember, this is the guy that, when the word came, hey, Lazarus has died, and Jesus says they're going to Jerusalem, and, Thomas says, they're going to kill us, right? But Thomas says, okay, if you say it, I'm following, I'm in you. And he follows it. And even after the Last Supper, when Jesus says, you know where I'm going, Thomas, ever practical, says, I don't know where you're going. Why don't you tell us? And yet, on that Easter Sunday evening, when Christ appears, Thomas isn't in the room. And the ever-practical Thomas, says, well, I'm not going to believe it unless I can put my fingers in his side. And does he not believe Jesus is risen, or he doesn't believe the testimony of the apostles? I mean, Thomas is perhaps practical. He's just getting on with his life, something else. And yet, on that next evening, he is in the room. Jesus appears and says, don't be doubting, but be believing. And that portal is opened up for Thomas's world that had been shrinking. I guess it's not going to work out. I should take care of myself. To suddenly Christ is risen in front of him. And Thomas walks through the portal. In fact, walks all the way to be the great apostle of India. This is a story not of tragedy from Shakespeare. This is a story of redemption in the Christian tradition. And a third story, well, actually, it's a story still in progress. It's your story, my story. And the question is, what kind of world are we living in? Are we living in that small world where think of the world as we sort of gauge it by, failure instead of possibility, scarcity instead of abundance, remembered offenses, withheld forgiveness, have we given up on people? Are we disappointed in them? Can we not get over the wrongs done to us and the wrongs we've done to others? That's a mark of a small and shrinking world. And Easter and resurrection is not a world that says you are governed by limitations. It's a world that says the portal is open to the wideness of this whole world, where relationships can be restored, disappointments can be dissolved into new hope, and old things forgiven, and things can be raised to the newness of life. But it's your story. You've got the Lear, ends in tragedy. You've got the Thomas, ends in redemption. Darkness or eternal light. Limits or possibilities of all things. It is your story to write, to choose the madness of Lear, or to proclaim with Thomas, my Lord and my God. And may the grace of this Easter season bring you the wider, larger world filled with the mercy and grace of God. Amen.